A 7.0 earthquake hit Haiti on January 12, 2010. The sky over Port-au-Prince went gray with dust, and the world began to hear reports of chaos, death, and cries for help. Within days, the world responded. In the U.S. alone, a staggering 1 out of 2 households donated about $1.4 billion to the relief efforts.
The public, the American public, was more generous for Haiti in our history, in American Red Cross, than any other single country in our entire 130-year history.
People responded in a way that was completely an expression of solidarity for the first couple months. Globally, $2.2 billion was raised through private donations.
The money went to aid agencies calibrated for crisis, although recent performances by these non-governmental organizations, NGOs, have been controversial. 9/11, Hurricane Katrina, the Asian tsunami, and, especially, Rwanda.
The Rwanda genocide became public notion, and in many people's minds, the failure of aid agencies either to stop the genocide or to help stop it. So there was a tremendous sense of angst at the time, if you like, and searching for the way forward.
But this time, the agencies thought they had it figured out.
I can still see them, all the leaders and the representatives of all those donor countries and the NGOs that came together in this huge hall in New York. And they swore on the graves of their mothers, that this time it would be different.
Veteran journalist Linda Pullman had spent 2 decades watching NGOs hop from disaster to disaster, doing whatever they wanted, often duplicating efforts. But Haiti was going to change all that.
It never happened before that donors and aid organizations agreed to cooperate. They called it Humanitarian Aid 2.0. Haiti was going to be the starting point for something new. Didn't happen.
10 months after the earthquake, we went to Haiti to find out what happened to those good intentions and all that money.
Now you will see.
Jesus. Look at that. And what it looks like is that it got shelled. This could be Beirut from the 70s.
The fundraising for the aid effort had been unprecedented. President and Mrs. Obama both made personal appeals. Former Presidents George W. Bush and Bill Clinton headed up a special fund. Not only had more Americans donated to Haitian relief than for any other disaster ever, but they had donated in new ways. The Red Cross raised nearly $500 million, $7 million within 48 hours via text message. The money was raised quickly, and the clear implication was that it would be spent quickly. 1.5 million people left homeless were desperate for relief in at least 1,300 camps. One of those people was a 25-year-old mother, Wilna Vital. It was 10 months after the quake, and she was surprised that she and her family still lived under a tarp. We were surprised that, despite $1.4 billion donated for relief, the tarp wasn't even given to her. She'd had to buy it herself for $12.
There's no NGO helping you?
7 miles outside of Port-au-Prince, on a stripped hillside, Camp Canon 2. It was hot, it was humid, and it was tense.
How many people in this area? Yeah, we're talking 5,000 people. How many toilets do they have?
6 toilets.
6 toilets. Wow. The toilets are very, very close to where people are actually living. Yeah.
Où est là ces toilettes nous coûtent café? Cette matière fécale là, l'année passée, elle fait tellement phénoménal, nous même pas arrêter encore parce que tellement esthétique encore.
Oh God. Okay.
6 toilets for 5,000 people. An Irish NGO had built these latrines, but no one was in charge of cleaning them. The Haitians told us they would, but they didn't have the equipment.
The latrine situation, I was shocked.
Dr. Mark Schuller of York College walked through more than 800 camps and compiled a definitive study of conditions there.
The average was over 300 people per one toilet. Almost half the toilets hadn't been cleaned since January 12th.
And cholera had just been discovered in the north.
C'est faire prévention contre maladie que le choléra qui c'est plus gros candidat nous gagne en moment. Candidat ça, c'est seul candidat qui pas connaît ni belle femme, ni bel garçon, ni blanc, ni nègre.
So I see the signs for cholera, but where do you wash your hands?
Nous va pour nous boire. Même, merci. Ah, il est là, il a tombé, l'eau a tombé là, il est entré en bas. Viens boire, on fait une sorte de poudre. Cap tombé, malgré le pourri, le goût doit arrêter n'importe qui vent, cause quelque chose. Exactement, madame, moi petite, moi là, nous était.
Many Americans do not know that this happened. They gave money to make it better for you.
Du côté pas possible, c'est rien du tout. Toutes les autres bails manger à gogo, mais nous pas de chance à trouver avec pas possible.
It was easy enough to see from the tarps and the tents that relief workers had been here at some point. The question was, had they been back since?
Do you have a lot of people who come here to see this?
OEM, INOP, Aspen, ACF, All Vision.
Just come and...
Well, certainly money has been spent on nice cars, and for those who don't have homes, in hotels and meals, certainly. I'm very, very, very confident the vast majority of the money has been spent on Haiti.
David Meltzer is in charge of international relief for the American Red Cross. It is the largest NGO in Haiti.
You go through those camps and you see people living underneath tarps. Who provided those tarps? Non-governmental organizations. You see people cooking with pots and pans, with blankets. Where did that come from? People drinking water. Where did that water come from? Non-governmental organizations. People going into latrines. Who built the latrines? Who maintains the latrines? Non-governmental organizations.
We walked through hundreds of camps, large and small, and we did see tarps, but many of them were torn or leaking. We did see pots and pans, but many of them were being sold to buy food. We did see water, but most of it wasn't clean enough to drink. And as for the latrines,
there's a lot of despair. A great deal. You're going to see this with consistency in every camp that you go.
Mark Snyder is a former Coast Guardsman, now a human rights advocate with International Action Ties, a community development organization. He says that aid standards that were drawn up in the 1990s are routinely ignored in Haiti.
The minimal standards, how much water, how many people per toilet, what size their houses are. Not a single camp here, after 10 months, adheres to that.
Are people living here?
Yeah, he lives there with the baby.
He lives there with the baby.
There's a humanitarian charter where the big NGOs like the Red Cross, like CARE, like Save the Children, got together and said, here are the minimum standards for humanitarian aid.
These aid guidelines are called SPHERE standards, and Peter Walker of Tufts University knows them better than just about anybody. He helped develop them.
The SPHERE standards are a set of universal standards put together by aid agencies to try and capture just exactly what people caught up in a crisis have a right to expect. So they're based around, what do you really need to survive in a crisis? What's going to keep you alive?
The average water consumption is 15 liters per person per day, that no more than 20 people can share a toilet, that they must be either segregated by gender or by households.
But everywhere we went, we saw the same scene over and over. Waste running through the streets, trash heaps, filth.
The average American could never fathom the way that, human beings are living in Haiti.
Congresswoman Yvette Clarke represents a New York congressional district with a large Haitian American population.
I visited a camp which was actually built on a concrete platform and had to have had over 100,000 people in there. What we're talking about in terms of camps are similar to what we're seeing in Somalia right now, right? So they're tents made of tarpaulin. And if anyone knows tarpaulin, it's a oil-based plastic. So imagine being in one of the hottest climates ever, and the only shelter you have is something that traps heat on concrete, and then have to fend for yourself and your children and create as secure an environment for what meager possessions you may have.
This camp is called Place Saint-Pierre. We were told that there are 3,000 families here, so that's approximately 7,000 people. We saw exactly 3 toilets for all those people. Again, right in the middle of town. And the smell is almost indescribable.
Do not barf in the car.
I won't. I got it. Okay, I'm fine. How can they live like this?
To walk into these camps, the first thing that you notice is the smell, unfortunately. But on top of that, you have mud, and a lot of very thick and very slick at this point mud. Just very, very well trafficked areas, very crowded. Imagine a football field with 6,000 people living in it.
Before it was a park to play soccer.
This was a park to play soccer.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no grass anymore, it's all mud, and it's very thick mud. And because these tents are sometimes 8 inches apart, and there's maybe a footpath where you can have like a 1.5 feet between tents.
You can smell the latrines because we're so close to the latrines, and because of the wet, you feel soaked in it.
On the other side, you're 8 inches between you and the next family over. So where does the mud go? But underneath the tents. And so people sleep on, this mud.
So how many toilets for how many people?
10 toilets, 9,000 people use. What?
9,000 people use 10 toilets?
This was 10 months after the quake. Why were people still living like this, especially if there were standards the NGOs were supposed to follow? Well, for one thing, enforcing the standards is basically done through an honor system.
There's no legal requirement anywhere, or there's no yet sense of there being, for instance, an industry association that you're a member of which requires you to deliver to those standards. So it's all about peer pressure.
There are no binding rules in the humanitarian world. You can come as you please, you can go when you please, you can spend your money on what you want to spend it on, and you can or cannot follow codes of conduct.
Theoretically, a strong government could have kicked out ineffective NGOs. But Haiti's government wasn't strong before the earthquake, and after, it was almost non-existent. No one really knows how many NGOs are in Haiti. Estimates range from 10,000 to 12,000, which gives Haiti the most NGOs per capita in the world. And no one knows how credible or efficient they are because they don't report to anyone.
There is no central registration to find out exactly the reasons why they're here, if they keep their promises, the money that they raise and the money that they spend. There's no registration. Each and every one of those 10,000 or 12,000 NGOs are here to live their own dream.
I think that's being generous, saying they're a parallel government. I say they've supplanted government in Haiti.
What does that say in the red graffiti? Down with being hungry, we want to eat.
They're packed in, and the toilets are right on the street. What camp is this, guys?
Champ Mars, ground zero of the Haiti Misery Tour. This camp should look familiar. About 16,000 people living in what used to be a park across the street from the presidential palace in downtown Port-au-Prince. It's an easy stop for journalists and aid workers, with little to show for the record amount of relief money raised. And the people living there were tired of it. A man walked up to us.
I want to know. I always see everything, same things, nothing never changes.
He always saw white people coming here, take shots, filming, ask people how they're living, and didn't see nothing change. How come you go live like that in this place, a place that you used to visit every Sunday with your family, and they don't know how long they're gonna be in this place? And they, man.
No, people are very poor, but they're not stupid. They know, they are very, very aware of the fact that the money was raised with their suffering and with their poverty, and it's not being spent on them.
So they estimate the population of the whole area to be 32,000, I believe.
Yeah.
32,000 people displaced.
Bonsoir. Bonsoir. Comment ça va?
For many camp residents, their jobs literally collapsed during the quake, along with their homes and whatever savings they had. And now, they were stuck in a kind of purgatory.
Nothing. Gomez encore? Oh, she doesn't.
One of the main things is that they've had their will removed from them. They don't get to make decisions in their own lives. They have to sit here and wait for people to help them, as opposed to being engaged in the actual decision-making process, which has not occurred.
Bon, pour aider, nous avons personne qui aide nous. Events, qui te fait nos cadeaux de latrine. Et actuellement, la toilette, c'est plein. Malgré qu'il est plein, bon, nous continuons à aller là-dedans. No, no, pas possible.
Yeah, they don't have the equipment.
They don't have the equipment, yeah. What was your work before the earthquake?
Moi, c'est un technicien plombier, moi, j'étais Sainte-Unité.
This actually has latrines, where you're talking almost 70% of camps do not.
There are many people who gave money to help Haitians. Many, 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 many people. Where would you tell them the money has gone?
Bon, tout simplement que ça me décade les faire, c'est payer au bien bel hôtel pour dormir. C'est payer bel hôtel ou les belles machines. C'est ça que je dis. Mais le peuple là, il a toujours été bien dans la même misère noire.
All the people I know who gave money to Haiti, that is not what we thought would be the situation. I still question where the money went. I'll tell you one thing, it didn't go there.
Humanitarian Aid 2.0 wasn't supposed to be like this. The United Nations had coordinated a cluster system with the NGOs to make the relief effort more efficient, but the NGOs themselves gave it mixed reviews.
There are various disciplines, health, shelter, and the American Red Cross is active in many of those disciplines. It is literally a big tent, and it's the best way, as we can see right now, to coordinate.
Going to these meetings, I realize that there are a lot of NGOs that are here in Haiti that are doing good work, but nobody's talking to each other.
Alita Frischman runs a small NGO focused on women and children.
And nobody knows what services the other ones are given and where, and so a lot of times you have services that are concentrated in one camp where no camp, another camp has absolutely no NGOs that are representative.
The issue in Haiti was you had about 15 charities, ourselves included, providing 90% of the assistance. It was the hundreds or thousands of others who, lack of resources, it's difficult for them to coordinate.
I've had good experiences and I've had bad experiences. When there came a time that the rainy season was coming and I needed 8,000 tarps to cover our camp because the tarps were already ripped and sun damaged.